All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here, of course, for Berserk, episode 7. And we've dealt with Zod the Immortal.
Yes, the monsters have been introduced in this past timeline.
Right, but in particular, Zod left of his own accord.
He did indeed.
He could have killed them, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Which does not bode well for either of them. But then again, this show is all about kind of the foretelling of doom, you know, the
sort of the grim dark,
grim, I think that bad things are ahead, and
right.
It's just a question of what, when, and all that.
Yeah.
In particular, Griffith has made his way up in the world in the political sense.
Mm-hmm.
He has
been knighted,
established a lot of power within himself by being a knight. But also by taking this castle, my theory might come into play here of Griffith being given the castle for the Band of the Hawk, because the king might not want to upset the other nobles by giving up one of their castles for this knight. But I don't know if Griffith necessarily needs a castle yet.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what he is rewarded with for this service to the king.
Sure.
But yeah. We've got some exciting stuff up ahead, so without further ado, let's get into it. It's funny because by asking the question, it's almost like they're saying, yes, this is the way it is. But it's going to be, brought into conflict once that question becomes asked by the main characters. Whose castle? Whose vineyard? Nobles.
Yeah, serious losses.
Yes, that is true.
Yep.
There it is. There it is.
Yep.
This bald one here reminds me of someone from Guts' vision in the first episode. If he turns out to be some warlock in disguise. Yes. Is he mocking him? I think he's mocking him.
Yeah. He's mocking him.
This isn't gonna end well for you, buddy. Oh, nice. My blade hungers for you. Oh, does it now? Oh, it lost its appetite all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly.
Aw, look at these guys.
I walked here, didn't I?
Yep. Judo's great.
Yep. Are you sure about that?
She's not saying it to me, but whatever. Whoa, shoot. Guts is gonna kind of stumble into this little meeting of up-de-doos and stuff.
I was listening.
Cool. Alright. Oh, okay. Oh, Pippin just kind of like, Yeah. It's like, no, that's good. Wow. She hit him good.
She did.
Wow. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. Hey, at least he got the message now. He's not going to see Griffith. Wow.
Yep.
Whew. That was some thick tension right there. He's gonna do another 200 swings with his sword. Yep. Just stopping the sword at the end is probably like a monumental task in and of itself.
And people wonder why he can just casually throw guards out of the way with one hand.
His back's gotta be insane.
Oh yeah.
My, you're on edge.
俺よりよっぽどひどくやられてたのに全くタフなやつだなみんなで見舞いに来てくれてたようだけどあの大臣たち人が怪我してるのをいいことに恩着せがましく毎日毎日
Oh wow.
うっ
Yeah.
とうしいったらありゃしない仕方のないことだけどなノスフェラトゥのゾッドか
Yeah, let's bring this
あ
up.
んなとんでもない化け物が現実に存在するとしかし裏を返せばこの世界には人知の及ばない巨大な何かが存在するという証拠かもしれない。
Right. It's an interesting line, Griffith.
途中で気失っちまったからな。
お前が首から下げてるそれ。
Yeah. Griffith's like, what? Because of this?
貴様もしこの男にとって真の友と言える存在ならば心しておる。
Yeah, this whole warning.
この男の野望がついえるとその時貴様に死が訪れる。
Yeah.
こいつには魔除けの力もあるみたいだ。占い師のばあさんに礼を言わなきゃ。
Yeah, it's obviously a ward to protect you from evil. It has nothing to do with the warning that
借りができちまった。
Guts heard.
なぜ3年前お前は俺に優秀な手駒を失いな。沈着冷静なお前さんとしては冴えない話だぜ。
やれやれ、3年も前の話を。こだわるね、お前さんも。わけなんてないさ、何も。必要か理由が。俺がお前のために体を張ることに、いちいち理由が必要なのか。
I love how Berserk isn't afraid of doing like the slow, silent moments, you know?
Yeah.
これは白い鷹
The king.
怪我
Oh,
Yep.
shoot.
これは陛下。
貴様王の御前であるブレード
Come on, come on.
佐藤軍で城内は殺気立っておる。こちらは我が男白龍
the
将軍に
jealous
し
one.
てミッドランドの第二王位
Yep,
継
yep,
承者
yep,
だ。
exactly.
グリフィスですお見知りおき。
Next in line, exactly.
いる鷹の団の働き、いつもながら新参者の一団長ごときにそのような。
Wow.
まあ良いではない。
Protocol.
オーラを心よく思わぬもの。しかし威信や格式などでは戦には勝て
Oh,
ぬ。
there it
神
is.
の腹も膨れる。
There it is.
世はむしろ古きしきたりに縛られ、そなたたちのように型にはまらぬ。
重ね重ねありがたい。
Princess.
娘のシャルロット。
Gotcha.
シャルロット、こっち。あの始末でな、一人娘であるのをいいことに少々甘やかす。
I gotcha.
許されよ、グリフィス卿。
Griffith just saw his line to the throne right there. Oh, well played. And in that moment,
姫様のお体に
oh,
無礼であろう。
whoa, Guts was about to tear him in half.
唯一将軍。
Julius almost wanted him to try and fight back with the callousness of which he struck. But the great thing is that by doing that,
Griffith took the higher ground.
Griffith took the higher ground and won her heart probably,
yeah.
like, in that specific moment. Just not necessarily won her over, but got her interested in him. Like, just,
Right.
just
At
in
the
the
very least,
slightest bit.
got her respect for sure.
Yes, at least her respect, yes.
Meanwhile, Guts is like, something's happening over there. All I need to know is, am I killing the guy or am I not killing the guy?
He's like, now my blade is hungering for...
俺がお前のために体を張ることにいちいち理由が必要なのか。
All I can think of is, my sword will pierce the heavens.
これが俺の探していた答えかどうかわかる。
Music in this show really is
Wow.
good.
It is amazing, yeah.
今はあいつのために剣を振る。
よーし、お前たち。
Ah!
での重要性を知っておろう。
This ugly bastard again! Yeah.
我が小ボロ一家に300円には
The corporal wits, like... Yeah. So the fight for this castle could be Pretty much a perfect opportunity for Guts to just clear apart a bridge of like a crowd of people.
大船に乗ったつもしも敵がこの橋を使わずに回り道をして幅も広く深い馬で渡ることなどでき敵がもしイカダでもこさえたら
Do not question my genius.
この辺り一帯は岩ばかりの荒れ地にいくつかのブドウ畑が点在するのだ
He says as they show us with
all the trees. This guy is such a joke in like all the best ways that I just can't wait to see him get thrashed by the Band of the Hawk. Like, oh my gosh, it's already happening. It's happening today. Like,
それだけ頼りにされてるってあの橋の上で騎士団の3分の2がやられた
yeah, they're hyping up the bridge as well.
なんだと
And Guts and Casca. Yep, I was like, where are his two? Yep, they are flanking his sides right there.
And Guts is on the right.
俺たちの通り道だ。どいてもらう。
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so not really a lot happened this episode.
No, not
in
too
particular, this episode's main highlights were basically Griffith having his little meeting with the nobles and Casca having her moment with Guts where she kind of broke down for a bit there. And then basically Guts kind of coming to a little bit more of an understanding of how he... I would say feels, but it's probably the best word I can come up with, how he feels about Griffith. In particular, like, what Griffith means to him in terms of, will he stick with this guy for the long run? And I think he's decided that he will. And there's a lot of kind of subtle things going on. Like you said, Berserk as a show kind of, like, really appreciates the slower... like moments and lingering bits there, and it makes for a less kind of, you know, exciting episode, but more of an, oh, is there something going on here? Like what was the subtext within that scene? In particular, though, it makes the episode still a bit weaker in terms of just overall potential because again, not a lot happened there, so you have to draw and extrapolate
and that's
of smaller things.
And that's one of the things that I really, again, like about Berserk, because they're, you know, it's an action show, right? But when they don't have the action parts, they know how to give those pauses so that it's not just... Because, like, if they didn't have as much of the pauses or they weren't as long, you might be like, okay, am I supposed to read into that little look there?
Right.
Or is that just
you don't
me?
know.
Right? You don't know. But when they leave those big pauses like that, you know, okay, no, this is what I'm supposed to be focusing on. This is important, you know.
Yeah.
There's a point to all of this, that little glance that the person gives, you know, things like that.
It's less efficient, though, primarily because they're making it really obvious that you know, this is a slow, lingering moment, but you don't know necessarily if it's supposed to be taken with the same gravitas as every other slow, lingering moment in the show.
Gotcha.
Primarily, there's a couple ones that they do where they'll zoom in on a character and kind of just linger on their face as they're regarding some other character off screen. But their face doesn't change, so you don't know necessarily what they're feeling other than... you know, just what that initial emotion is. And that's probably based on the limitations of the adaptation and the time in which this was made.
Sure.
But
that was something that happened a lot more with older anime than more recent ones.
Right. But in particular, the biggest thing to bring out of this is jealousy was kind of the theme of this episode.
It was.
And the theme of jealousy carried over to a whole lot of characters. And I almost want to say... that the one spearheading this whole thing of jealousy is Griffith, actually. In the same respect in that everyone has their thing that they want.
Yeah.
And they are jealous of what other people have. Griffith's isn't necessarily as much jealousy as it is just, you know, raw desire. Like, he has his goals, he has his ambitions and his dreams, and he desires them greatly. But it doesn't come across as jealousy, so it's actually very charismatic. It's something that has a magnetic
right. He's wanting something for
to
himself, but not something that like someone else seems to have.
Right. He doesn't want to take or steal.
Right. Exactly.
He wants to acquire. He wants to. In a way, he wants to stand with those that have. Those that have power and such. And in this episode in particular, they are reaffirmed a lot of Griffith's, I would say a lot of his...
motivations?
Well, a lot of just that he's the better man.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the... Like, there's obviously all the things he can do, right?
Right.
But there's what he inspires other people to be.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Yep. Like the whole thing with...
He leads by example.
He leads by example, yeah, and I really like that because that makes his leadership ability seem that much more impressive.
Exactly.
Because he's not doing the brash thing where he, loudly proclaims this is what we're gonna do and it's gonna be awesome.
Right.
But he'll just be, he'll let someone punch him in the face and just be like,
smile back and be like,
and smile back and just be like, no, guts, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. And it's so completely, like, he knows that he's so completely unnerved this guy that he's like, I'm, it is over. I have the higher ground.
Right.
And there's nothing else that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And then other people around him can, like, feel that.
They absorbed that by just being around him. So Guts, in particular, has gotten a little bit more... I would say self-control, a little bit more self-restraint.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The fact that
he level-headed.
Right, the fact that he didn't respond, as abrasively in multiple instances throughout this episode. Like even when he was alone with the nobles,
yes,
he didn't basically drag Griffith's reputation through the mud by. Lashing out against the noble beyond just the simple little bit there. I mean, he's still Guts. He's still Guts.
Yeah. And they'll probably associate some of that with Griffith, because it's like, these ruffians,
these thugs, how could they enter the castle and be within the same 50 kilometers as the king himself?
Oh, horrid Jeeves, throw it to the poor.
Oh my gosh. But Guts's character is basically starting to roll the big stone wheels of character development.
Mm-hmm.
He is making his progress, kind of out of the reactive, traumatized state that he used to be in.
And it's slow going, but it's steady going.
Right.
Like
he still doesn't really acknowledge the feelings of others, especially with regards to the Band of the Hawk, in that specific instance.
Like even with Casca, when it's like when she's saying like, "Don't go in there," because you'll basically ruin Griffith's image in front of these important people, right? This is a big deal, and he doesn't say, "Fine, you're right, I'll leave." He's like, "Spoiled it anyways," and then he leaves.
Right, because he has a decently sized ego. It's about the same size as his sword. And Casca essentially took the low road and the high road in a lot of ways. I wouldn't even say she took the low road at all, but if anything, she took the direct road.
Yes.
And Guts wasn't really prepared for that.
No.
Like in some really impressive ways, I think he was kind of like, "Whoa,
what?
Whoa!" Like, I don't understand her. He came. Like, okay, so we had Gambino in his past, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Tried to kill him.
Yep.
Regarded him as less than trash,
Mm-hmm.
Griffith regards him as something more, so he gives him respect and he follows him.
Mm-hmm.
Casca regards Guts in a unique way.
Right.
In such that she regards him at the lowest range of which Griffith regards him. So,
Sure, right. She's hostile towards him, but, not overly hostile towards him, and she acknowledges that he's important to Griffith, so she'll respect that because she respects Griffith,
but nothing else.
Right, exactly.
Nothing else. And this episode in particular was where she was actually vulnerable with Guts. And she was vulnerable with the entire band that was there as well, because they heard that.
Oh yeah.
And this is something I think that might be more on her mind than some of the others, but it was on, at the very least, Corcus?
Judo? Or
No, Corcus.
Corcus?
Yeah. He's the idiot one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's his name. Okay. He was in the past jealous of how much attention Guts got so quickly. Casca's was simmering underneath the surface, but it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But when
she's smarter than Corcus.
Oh, way smarter. But the fact that in this moment she doesn't understand why Guts is valued so much by Griffith.
Right. Because she probably sees him as like he's too volatile, right? He'll cause trouble now that they're like
she just doesn't understand why he gets this free pass essentially to Griffith, and probably she doesn't. So in a way, she's jealous of Guts and doesn't understand, that, and which in turn Guts then goes on a little bit of a, I don't get her, like.
What was that?
Well, it seems like he's not that he's dense and he doesn't get it, but he understands the emotion and the passion. He just doesn't understand fully what it means.
Right, and like where it's coming from.
Well, yeah. So,
yeah.
In particular, having her character bring this direct approach to Guts has gotten him to kind of think about things.
It's a nice contrast, isn't it? Because you have like Griffith, who's the very mellow,
passive.
like level-headed. Like Guts went out and said it in this episode.
Right.
And then you have Guts, who's very direct and very blunt, but he's a quiet dude.
Well, Guts is reactive, though. Guts
true.
This is one of the things that's a very clever thing that Berserk avoids the problems of. Is Guts is the main character, but they quickly establish that he's going to be a part of a family, like almost within episode 2 or 3.
Right.
And then Griffith became a main character. And then Casca became a main character. And then everyone else became main side characters.
Right.
So what they did was, instead of having Guts be a reactive protagonist and not being able to really carry the plot,
They made it so he doesn't have to carry the plot.
Have to carry the plot because Griffith is the proactive protagonist.
Exactly.
And he'll carry the plot for him.
Yep.
But Guts, I don't really see him stopping being the reactive protagonist for a long time. And with these political things moving and brewing and stuff, I think that we've now begun to see where things could fall apart, because all the plot devices seem to be getting moved into place. We have the nobles that will basically, like, I almost see them as like the nobles in the Braveheart movie. Like that's a really bad representation of
another
the William
story
Wallace
of someone with a really big sword.
Yeah, but the point is that's a really bad representation of William Wallace's story. Like it's completely wrong in a whole bunch of ways. But the nobles in that, and the way they kind of, some of them jumped on the bandwagon of William Wallace, and others of them kind of do some subterfuge and stuff. It ends up being William Wallace is the one that gets burnt, and a couple of the nobles along with them. So what I see in this is Griffith gets what he wants, but he has to burn a couple of the nobles, and unfortunately some of his connections with maybe the Band of the Hawk along the way. And I don't necessarily think that that's going to be what causes Guts to want to go and kill him or, stop him from being king or what have you. But then there's all these other things in play, like the Behelit, like the fact that there are demon monsters and stuff.
Yep.
The fact that the Band of the Hawk isn't with Guts at that time. So the Band of the Hawk, at the very least, is either with Griffith or they're disbanded or something. And when we get into the internal conflict, this like the whatever causes the eventual schism, I think that the nobles will be the little annoying pebble in the boot that kind of starts the problem.
Gotcha.
They won't necessarily finish the conflict, but they'll be a big instigator in that. I'm really excited to see Griffith ascend past these people. they did a really good job of giving Griffith his antagonists within this story.
Yep.
And Count Julius is another jealous person. Though that little bald Varys-looking shady Mouse rat.
I'll clear this up for you. If you were, and you would be able to see this just fine if you went back and looked at the first episode. Totally different design. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I'm not going to go on a wild goose chase of that then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really interested.
I think of Varys too.
Right. I'm really interested to see what kind of military leader Griffith will be in conjunction with the kind of political leader he will be. Because you end up usually being two different types of men when it comes to politics and when it comes to the battlefield. Just a thought. But yeah, not really much discussion in this. There were some really cool Guts and Griffith moments. Some good words exchanged across there. Some good Guts development.
Yep.
More kind of the beginning of development. And then we are set up to attack Mr. Buffoon himself.
I love how they...
What the heck is his name?
The name is the Korbolowitz family or something like that.
But it's been passed down their family for generations and generations. Is that really where the Armstrong name came from?
I think so.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Fullmetal Alchemist and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood have a character named Armstrong, and he constantly talks about how his everything is passed down the Armstrong family from generation to generation.
Right. Now...
It's really funny.
Now, if I may be wrong, but I think the last time he said that, the Korbolowitz guy, he said a different number of years.
So he's just not only a buffoon, he's lying, like he's bringing up this
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Really over the top thing to make him sound so much more important. Yes.
And I love how the soldiers are just like giving their commentary of, what if they do this? Oh, they can't do that. What if they do this? They can't do that.
Zooming out, showing the trees and showing how it's a very defensible position, but it's not like you're not thinking about everything here, buddy. That was kind of funny. I have noticed that Berserk tends to have little moments where they'll be like, all right, this is humor, but then they're also they're also something else. So in this case, they were basically building up a fight that was going to happen in the next episode. And my immediate theory is Guts is going to take that sword and just swing it around and around whirlwind style at that bridge. As long as he doesn't get shot by crossbows from above,
which there are a few,
but all they would have to do is keep having crossbows from the bottom sent to the top, and then they would be too distracted. They'd have to defend themselves, so they wouldn't be able to just get clear shots at Guts.
Because that is one of the things. Like Guts, that sword is so huge. Like no one would be able to get past him. Just one full rotation, and it's just like.
Well, what you would have to have is you'd have to get it caught in like two guys' armor or something like that, and then the weight of 200 and. I don't know,
50 pounds or whatever it is.
Yeah, the bodies and the armor. It's actually been more like 380 pounds or something like that. And then he's like, "Oh no, I'm stuck!" And then, he's dead. Right. But we've seen Guts take some serious damage, so it's more of a question of what tactic they'll use this way.
Right.
I would like to see some implementation of siege weapons beyond just like, we time skipped and the siege weapons worked. Because siege weapons are a very risky endeavor, but they are a necessary thing for any kind of castle siege.
Right. I get the feeling one of the reasons why they couldn't just say, use cannons is because, if they did for some reason happen to miss and, blow up the bridge, that could be kind of an issue.
Well, that's also a thing that this castle has a problem with, is that you can just raise the bridge. But then if you do that, then they're just going to go around the other way.
Yeah.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see. Voice actor wise, I do recognize the Korbolowitz voice actor a little bit. But the one who I really recognized, it was on the recap bit in the very beginning of the episode, was Nosferatu Zod. I really recognized his voice actor. So if you could find out that info for me,
I'll have to look that up. Yeah.
Or guys help him out in the comments, pass it
Yeah,
along.
because when I first watched this, it was in the
Discord
dub, so
or
I'm not
mods
familiar
or
with the
something.
Japanese voice actors.
Yeah, but I recognize Zod's a lot.
Gotcha.
And I'm curious now. All right, guys, this is fun. If you want to see the next episode's reaction right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access. You can watch full-length reactions there. All this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us there about stories or what have you. Yeah, and we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.